welcome to the second video. So this is going to be not so much of a part two or a follow-up to the first one, but a bit of a supplementary video to the first one. We're going to go over a couple verses and a bit of symbolism that I missed in the first one, and hopefully this video will be a bit shorter. So before I get into it, I'm just going to read a quick and simple gospel. John 3:16, For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And that's all you have to do to be saved. Believe once, you're saved, and there's nothing that you can do to become unsaved. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of a bit of the things that we covered in the first video, and then we're going to look at a bit of symbolism. First, I'm going to read Joel chapter 2, verse 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. So this, as we covered in the first one, is a solar eclipse and a blood moon, which will happen before the great and terrible day of the Lord come, which is the tribulation, or Jacob's trouble, or Daniel's 70th week. So we're going to go over here, and I'm just going to cover a few things that I actually I discovered before or after the last video here. So this is, if you haven't seen the first video, this is iPetGoat 2, which is a very symbolic video. It came out about 12 years ago, was re-released last year, and it's just completely filled with symbolism, predictive symbolism. There's a lot of biblical symbolism as well as astro symbolism within it. So in this first scene here, everything in this video is very multi-layered, so certain things mean more than one thing. But what's being depicted here is a solar eclipse with this, let's just move this out of the way, ring of honey here and an apple. So this is a very specific solar eclipse. This is the wedding ring eclipse that happened on October 2nd, 2024. I'll just pull that up here real quick. Yeah, so an annual solar eclipse occurred at the moon's descending node of orbit on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024. And this, I think it reached its total eclipse over Easter Island. It was visible over South America, specifically Easter Island. So keep that in mind here. But I'll show in Stellarium where this happened. So most people, when they were looking at the symbolism for this video, they largely believed that this represented the moon. But Raw Repent's channel, he kind of showed me that this actually may represent the planet Mercury. And so she is representing the constellation Virgo, as well as the moon, perhaps, and even as well the Bride of Christ. So I'll just go to Stellarium real quick here, and we'll go to that eclipse on October 2nd. And here it is right here. So we'll zoom in. So this is not the moment of the eclipse, but you have the moon here, the sun here, and Mercury. So on this date, it's reason enough to believe that her holding the apple is Mercury. And the 12 figures around her, I believe, are representative of 12 moons, or the 12 moons within a specific calendar year. I covered this in the last video, but I do believe it is the Julian calendar year, because we have the two blue moons. This would be the blue wolf moon in January 2025. The bit of red shade on here gives reason to believe this is the lunar eclipse or blood moon. Could possibly be March. However, it's only a very light shading of red, so this also could be a partial eclipse or partial lunar eclipse. And as well as what's going on in the backgrounds here, this eclipse happened on the Hunter's moon, which is the name for the full moon in October. So that's reason to believe that the kind of stag and the rabbit in the back, which will have another meaning as well, I'll cover, could signify the Hunter's moon. And if you look at the rabbit, there's a little bullet hole on the ear, so you could also see what else this could possibly be representing. I'll give a hint. It's a current U.S. president. at a point in time. So I'll just play this video here for a little bit, and you'll see everything gets dark except the rabbit in the back, or this is symbolizing the eclipse, but the rabbit in the back is still lit up. So this is another kind of nod to the Easter Island eclipse. And then you have the exit door opening, which, as I covered in the last video, could symbolize the blood moon, signifying the exit of the bride of Christ. And another thing pointed out in one of Brother Dana's videos is that the path of her hair is the exact same path the eclipse takes over South America. So I don't have a picture for that at hand, but you'll have to take my word for it. You could look it up for yourself if you like. So what I kind of gleaned from watching the video yesterday, which I didn't have before, is what exactly could be signified here with the C and the 7. And if you'll notice here, it blooms into a lily. So I'll just rewind it here. And you could slow the video down and count for yourself, but I believe it passes over 22 tiles in total with the apple's journey. And what I also, I believe the apple represents, and you can kind of discern this from a couple things. When it splits open, when the apple splits open, I believe that's signifying the division of Israel. The land was, in a way, parted a little while ago with the U.S. taking over Gaza, but I don't know if that's officially happened yet. But I think the official parting of Israel will be a two-state solution. So the apple splitting into two could signify that. So I think the apple, as well as Mercury, also represents Israel. And I'll cite a verse here just to back that up. So Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. So that's where you get the saying, apple of my eye, or apple of their eye. But the apple in this case is referring to Israel, the northern kingdom. So in that video, you could see how the apple is, as well as representing Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish feast with the honey and the apple, which occurred on the eclipse. I'll pull that up as well. Let's go Rosh Hashanah 2024. Oh, let's get that internet back. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Rosh Hashanah. So you got the honey there with the apple. That occurred on October 2nd, 2024, through to October 4th, 2024, the exact same days as the eclipse. So as I touched on before, it travels over 22 tiles and then lands in this place where they have a C and which looks like a 7. So as I covered in the last video, the time it takes in terms of the video's length for the apple to travel across the floor is about 5 seconds. And it travels across 22 tiles. So I'll pull up the day calculator here. So I'll just do a couple different examples because it's still debatable how many tiles exactly it passed over, but we'll do 21. That takes us to February 26th. I don't think this is correct. Let's go 5 months. That takes us to March 2nd, so we're in March there. And I'll put 22, which I think is the most likely. And that takes us to March 5th. So although not precise with the time passing in the tiles, it's still roughly the same area of time. 23, that'll just take us to the 12th. So it's not precise by any means, but it's still roughly in the same area. So I'll show you what I found last night when looking at Stellarium. So we'll get Mercury here. I think I found where the C and the 7 is. Now, I'm definitely open to being debated on this, but it seemed kind of unmistakable when I found it. So for this, I'm going to have to zoom out quite a bit. And that's kind of what I felt in my spirit when I was looking at this, is to really, really zoom out and take a look at it. So I'll show the where Mercury is throughout these time periods we pulled up. So we got the 26 here, Mercury's right there. And it kind of comes into Pisces and swings back and exits Pisces at the start of April. So I'll go back to where I believe our most likely date is. So we got March 5th. Now when I looked at this here, I can see this right away. So Pisces shaped exactly like a 7, and then you have Cetus, which, although not would be a very stylized C, it just starts with the letter C. So the C could just be Cetus, which is on the left side of the 7, which is Pisces. So this very well could be your C7 here, as we see in iPad Goat. C7. So I think that's exactly what we're being shown right there. And this is something that we'll definitely just have to watch now. So if the division of Israel does happen in early March, around like the 5th or the 2nd, or even onto the 12th, this will show us that this is exactly the point in time that we are here. So one other thing I'll touch on just before ending the video here is at the division of Israel, what I believe is the division of Israel, you have the flowering of the lily, the fleur de lis, which, as the Exalted Lamb 1 covered in a lot of his videos, symbolizes the rise of the Antichrist. I'm not going to go into the reasoning for that. You'll have to watch a few of his videos, but I take his word for that. And then you have who I believe here is the AC. Not going to get into that too much. But yeah, I'm gonna go to one last verse here. I'm gonna take a look at. So the way I read this verse is it is very ambiguous. It's my interpretation is a little different than the general interpretation for this verse. I'll read it quickly here. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3 through 4. So in the context of this verse, the Paul's writing to the church of Thessaloniki or Thessalonica, where they're wondering if they missed the day of the Lord. And Paul's informing them that no, you haven't missed it, and you would have seen these signs before it happened. So I'll just read this here. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who's the Antichrist in this case, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. The archaic English is a little tough at times. But what Paul's telling them here is, what a lot of people take away from this is that the raptured church or the bride of Christ is not going to see who the AC is or when he is going to be revealed. But the way I interpret this is a little different. I don't think Paul would be telling them something that they're not going to see, because it wouldn't make sense per se. It would be like, watch out for this thing that you're not going to see, because you will leave before it happens. It doesn't make entirely too much sense to me. So if you follow my last video, where I believe the date of our departure is the at least past the last moon phase, which is March 22nd, which is the third quarter moon of the blood blue moon. So if this logic tracks where we have Israel being parted prior to that, around early March, and the fleur de lis, the rise of the AC, then we would in fact see the revealing of that person prior to our departure, if both of those things are correct. So I do interpret this differently than most people, and I think we could possibly see the man of sin or the son of perdition revealed prior to our departure, and I think it would only make sense within the context of this verse. But again, that's just my opinion, and I'm open to being debated on anything that's within this video. I'd like to hear your opinions. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to add for this video, and thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. God bless. Take care.